Hitman Season 1 was never in a good position. The episodic model made people very skeptical over the quality of the story. The time between the episodes ensured that most people who knew the game, even some who owned the game, basically only knew of the Paris and the Sapienza level. Then the whole wave of news indicating that Hitman Season 1 was a commercial failure, no matter that the game itself was critically extremely well received. Even now, the game's often seen as a good example of corporate meddling ruining a game. But I try and not let these things influence my thoughts on the game, since I played the full base game, and I never waited for anything. Let's get the story out of the way. There basically isn't any. The overarching narrative is genuinely like the first half of Season 1 for a Showtime series, but instead of seeing that half of a season, you've been given a 10-minute scene from each episode to piece together a semblance of a story. This isn't inherently a bad thing, but even if I try really hard, I just can't imagine how this could begin to be something more than a low-budget spy flick that would get cancelled after their first 2 seasons. I don't remember a single character, I don't really remember what happened, I lost focus twice during a single cutscene, and I just never gave a damn. However, visually these cutscenes are top-notch. But that's not much if everything's so unnecessarily static and colorless. Everything's grey and dark, people stand still or slowly walk, the camera tends to use a shot-reverse shot scheme, and it's just uninteresting. The real story might be in the actual individual scenarios, you might say. Well, yes and no. Those stories are set pieces. In Marrakesh, you're dealing with riots, a coup, international politics, and an interesting contrast between different social classes. Honestly, it got me pumped. I wanted to see what was going to happen. In reality, however, it's just another static level where time stands still, where you don't influence anything, and where the game doesn't even make you interact with the world. Instead, I kill my target through a completely plain way. Looking through all the opportunities for this level, it all just boils down to lure the target to a safe place and kill them. That's fine, but you've set up such a great setting, why wouldn't you take advantage of it? You have literal riots. Why not let us rile the crowd so they can storm the building only to kill your target in the chaos? The game even alludes to the fact that the guards are worried about not having enough people to defend the consulate. It's just a lot of wasted opportunities. The stories feel tacked on to the actual missions. The game's very replayable. In fact, each level has its own progression and leveling system where you earn experience for completing preset ways to assassinate your target. With each level, you unlock new starting locations, new stash locations, and so on. Personally, I'm not a very patient man, and I'm not good at Hitman, so this doesn't appeal to me, but it's impressive nonetheless. Unlike the Hitman games that came out before Absolution, Season 1 is a very hand-holding experience, if that's what you want. What turned me off from previous Hitman games was the fact that I didn't know what I could and couldn't do. Figuring these things out can be fun, but not if you're not a truly freeform game, which Hitman truly never was. You still had very specific rules and your job was figuring them out. Instead of adapting to the environment and using general world knowledge to tackle the problem, you were forced to play to the tune of the developer's whims. It just never fit me. So this handholding's actually a very good addition to me. At first I thought it was actually a bit too easy, but then I realized that the rigid structure of the game is still there, and so by not using the help, all you're doing is just trying to find the exact way you need to do something. The levels are downright masterpieces. You have a shiny sheen and complicated levels in Paris, detailed visuals in Sapienza, an in-depth immersive world in Marrakesh, a robust level design in Bangkok, and an unknown excitement factor of Hokkaido. The black sheep of the family here is Colorado, which is a decently designed enemy compound that's visually boring, and it kinda misses the point of Hitman. Instead of having a layered level design and social stealth systems, now you have a very boring one-layered level that looks barren and basically forgets about actual disguising, since you can basically do everything you need if you have a single disguise. Walking in the Paris level and seeing the amazing lighting effects, the hustle and bustle of the NPCs is amazing. They pulled off a hell of a level and it's insane to see. Sapienza is just flat out a gorgeous pocket universe that honestly is just good enough to play by walking around and not killing anyone. There's so much to see and discover and it's a great sight. Really, all levels, except Colorado, made me sad that I just didn't click with Hitman since I'm losing out on such great levels. There are smaller issues, like the AI still being fiddly with making deductions and with their attention spans. You can kill someone, walk away for a minute, and then everything would go back to normal, like nothing happened. You can also subdue an enemy, get seen by a guard, go behind a slim post, strip the person for his clothes, and just plainly walk away, like nothing happened. There are a lot of mechanics to abuse here, and while I try to avoid them, I can definitely see people using them a lot. The game's immersive with its attention to detail. Bodies get put into body bags and dragged off. However, it can lead to moments where you return to your killing spree location only to find like 50 body bags with a person just glitching through them trying to pull a ragdoll with him. Visually, the game's fucking beautiful. It's insane to see how much detail they've packed into this world. The dozens of people, the small packed environments, plus the texture quality and the lighting all combined making worlds that look amazing. However, those visuals come at a cost. My Ryzen 1400 GTX 1060 6GB variant and 16GB of RAM combo still required me to lower visual fidelity a fair amount, especially in Colorado, which, while being small, still ran at a sub 60 FPS, and before lowering the settings further, sometimes went sub 30. It's just unacceptable, and I have no clue how this got so bad at times. At the same time, levels like Paris run surprisingly decently for the complexity they have. Still, sub 60 FPS at max settings, but lowering some visual settings got the frame rate more stable. Look, Hitman's worth your time. It just never really clicked for me. But even if you're like me and not too into stealth games, there's still a lot to appreciate here. There's a lot to see, even more to learn, and it makes you feel accomplished for whatever you manage to achieve. This game's more of an exercise in patience and repetition. That's fine for many. For me, I just want to move on to something more blood pumping. Thanks for watching.